I like this.
Do they have any kind of heel on them? Oh yeah, okay. No wonder.
They're actually not that bad.
They're not that bad. I mean, like, the whole damn day. Yeah.
It's a
Hey, I'm trying to get to see you guys. Do it.
Yeah, can you hear me? They thought because I was in a wheelchair that I couldn't climb stairs. I got a special chair. The Galaxy Quest, I can do anything. I love you all. You will. You will. Test. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate that. Everybody can't see it. I thought there was 40 guys.
cosplay for Jesus is on Sundays. That's when the book wrote.
Ancient City! Welcome, guys. You guys having a great show? This is the Ancient City 2023 Sci-Fi panel. I'm very excited about this. We have some of the cast from Galaxy Quest, one of the all-time greatest sci-fi comedy movies ever. We've got guys from Neutral Zone, makeup artists. Like, this is going to be a really, really cool panel. So I hope you guys brought some cool questions. I have some questions for you guys to get us started. But again, welcome to Ancient City Con 2023.
What are we from Chalk River? Or
Yeah.
Star Trek, Deep Space Nine.
Oh, is it Star Trek?
That's it.
What is Star Trek?
Okay, so there's a shit. That's that Darth Vader.
Sincerely, I apologize. This is Ancient City. It's the St. Augustine's known because of the pirate community they had here. And with the hat, they have a lot of pirate cosplayers, and I literally thought you might just be a pirate cosplayer.
You're right on.
Yeah, he stuck in, and nobody said anything, and I was just like, I don't really want to make this awkward, and with that hat...
So I've done it for you.
Right. He's a space pirate. He wasn't a pirate. So, let's jump right in, guys. What is it, and this is for everybody, whoever wants to take it, they can. What drew you guys to science fiction?
Money.
Hear me? Yes. So, I've always been into science fiction from when I can remember watching television. Not that I'm old enough to remember when it was on, but Buck Rogers and Commando Cody and all of those shows. I'm a Star Trek fan. I've been a Star Trek fan since it started. And we'll talk about that, I guess, a little later on. I don't want to monopolize now, but the folks that are up here, I am honored to be here with these folks. I have followed them for years, and it's my honor to be sitting on a panel with these folks.
I've always loved science fiction and horror ever since I was a kid, and my mother used to always wonder why I always watched all those old movies all the time. Well, I watched every crappy old 50s science fiction show there was. But I loved like movies like This Island Earth and The Day the Earth Stood Still and all those films. And that's kind of my jam. I love science fiction and fantasy the most. You know, that's what I love.
Interesting thing, my journey into sci-fi. I wasn't really a big sci-fi fan. I was into hip hop growing up. The interesting thing for me is being offered the role to be in the movie. This is no lie. It took up to about maybe 3 years ago that I really started paying attention to the movie. So now I start doing these Comic-Cons. Before that, I had no concept of why this was even in the movie. I was like, what is wrong with these people dressing up like this? Never understood till I started doing the Comic-Cons. Now I go back and watch the movie and learn the whole concept. Now I'm in love. Because now, see, I was a virgin. I didn't get it. And then it started dawning on me. I started falling in love with the people. And now I start bragging. Because you know, when you don't know no better, you be like, something wrong with these people. And then I started moving. Then the funny thing though, no joke, I was 9 years old. I lived on Long Island in New York. I was running around my house, running around. We was playing hide and go seek. And I was hiding behind a fireplace, like, well, the chimney. And all of a sudden, this blue ball formed in the sky. And I tried to tell people, and the funniest thing, a couple of kids on the other block saw it too. So I can say I was abducted by a UFO. And he brought me back, so I got some secrets.
Hi. Well, thinking back, my introduction to sci-fi, the memory that popped into my head was I was in London back when I was about 10 years old. I was with my mom and we were in Piccadilly Square and she wanted to get rid of me for a while to go shopping or whatever, and there was a movie theater and it was playing I think it was The Empire Strikes Back. It was the second Star Wars movie. I hadn't seen the first one, and she said, well, why don't you go watch that movie? And I'm like, okay. So I saw it, and I was in love with the movie. Like, it blew me away. And when I got out, I tried to use the Force to jump over a wrought iron fence. And, my jeans got caught in the top, and then I fell on the other side on the ground, but I was fine. But it didn't matter. It was kind of life changing in some respects. So that was my introduction.
I don't think I ever got interested in sci-fi. But besides that, my father, I grew up on Air Force bases. My father was in the Air Force, and the only thing I recall are, air shows where you get to play in the airplanes. And I thought maybe these could be the flying saucer hunting aircraft. I'm not sure, but I've been oblivious to just about everything my entire life. And why I've done anything, I have no rationale for. Things just were placed before me and I dealt with it. And that's it. So nothing fascinating or hilarious. It's just that if you want obliviousness, come talk to me.
Hey, I'm Patrick, Galaxy Quest. Yeah. And it was it's such an interesting question because I never thought of it like that. What coming to, and I thought, what was it? And my dad and I did not get along growing up, but on Saturday mornings, he would watch B movies, Robot Monster, Plan 9 from Outer Space, the really bad, the great bad sci-fi, where it's a gorilla with a robot mask on, it's just crazy bad. And then of course the Blob and Body Snatchers, right? The really good ones. And that was the only time I remember bonding with him. And I think that had something to do with it. It was like the times I felt, oh yeah, this is, I'm the son, and we're getting along. We're sitting here watching these movies. So I think that was the DNA of like going, and I probably always loved fantasy and science fiction and stuff like that. But I think it was spend time with my dad.
I was the complete opposite of that. I was, by the way, we haven't met. I'm Jeff. Hey, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. We haven't met yet. So. Love these stories. Complete opposite. First of all, I have to thank the local. I lived in a small town. It was like one theater. So Saturday matinees were like a thing in those days. That's where you'd go and see movies, and they had serials with guys that had like tin cans on their head would fly and this sort of stuff. And I remember reading, sort of children's literature that was loosely based on Asimov and all that. But so I was always fascinated with all of that. But in 1966, September 8th of 1966 to be exact, I saw the first Star Trek episode. And I was 12, you do the math, and I was dazzled by this, the panache, the swashbuckling, the color, the adventure of it all. And my dad just said, turn that shit off. Well, I didn't want that. But I want to watch it. And it only, he'd turn it over. We only had one TV, and he'd turn it over to the fights or something. I'd be like, so this only solidified my desire to get back to Star Trek. And so that's an interesting thing. You bonded.
He told me not to drink, so that I did the opening.
It only made me searching out more. It's funny thing. Yes and no can make you do different things. So got to the same place.
So this question's for Daryl. When you got the script, like you said, you didn't understand why there was like the Comic-Con scenes like that. You didn't, and obviously Galaxy Quest very much is sent up of like Star Trek and Trekkies and things like that. Now, remove doing the film and then actually being at Comic-Cons. Did it all click for you after the fact?
That's what brought it all home for me. Because just imagine we crashed back through and we landed, everybody clapping, and I'm like, and I in the movie, but like, read the script, didn't have no concept because I'd never been to a Comic-Con, so I didn't understand. Even watching the movie, when we were shooting it, and they were all dressed up in these costumes, I'm like, why they look better than us? Like, the costumes were dope, but I didn't understand why that whole concept was in the movie. And I watched the VHS they gave us. I don't know if they gave it to you, because they know I didn't know. They gave me a VHS called Trekkies. I was like, what the hell wrong with these people? And the killer part, I was like, and they grown. Yo, come on now. I'm just like, for real, I'm just being real with you. But after I got into it, now I'm like, you know what? It's fun because I love vintage movies. I like watching Turner Broadcasting. And so now when I watch Star Trek and all this stuff, and now working on NCIS, I hadn't done it, but I worked with Scott Bakula, who was also, so talking to him on the set about Star Trek, all these different, these things, we talk about it now. So it's cool for me now, man. It's real, I'm real cool. That's why I love being here. Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm fun. Thank you. Yeah.
Bakula.
All right, so this is just
He's the dude.
Wait, do you know Scott Bakula as well? Does everybody know Scott Bakula?
I know Scott Bakula. I had a fight with him once. Big blade. He won. Okay.
So, this is for you gentlemen. And this is just my personal, you watch a movie and you're like, man, if I ever had an opportunity to ask this question, I'm asking, did you guys wear wigs or did they just really give you those dorky haircuts?
Wigs!
They were definitely wigs? Okay. 'Cause, what a bummer that would have been while you guys are filming, walking around for... Yeah, so...
Yeah, we did it.
No. So how do you... But that was so that kind of leads to my next question. How do you decide to go with a wig versus making these guys walk around for 6 weeks or however long shooting is with that super fun haircut? Yeah. Is that a right question?
Well, first of all, nobody has hair like that.
Right.
Obviously, but we couldn't have dyed all their hair and given them all haircuts like that because it would have taken too long. And plus, they had to look almost synthetic because they didn't really look like that in real life. They were kind of like those things. So no, they all had wigs on, and every day they had to put them on, and we'd have to make them up because they didn't look. Their faces, obviously were altered as well.
So when you okay, go ahead.
Me, I have a question for you. Did you come up with the concept of what the hairpiece would look like, or was that predetermined before you even got on set?
I'm trying to think who figured all that out, but I know that the makeup design was mine because we had to figure out what they were going to look like ahead of time. But I think there might have been some sketches maybe from Stan Winston Studios. I don't really remember. Do you remember any of that? It was so long ago, but
They were testing things out. They were testing things out a bit. Albert Walensky had something to do with something to do with the design. Yeah.
Albert Walensky was our costume designer, so it was kind of a conglomeration of everybody, makeup, hair, and wardrobe, trying to figure out what they were going to look like ahead of time. And it's just like they weren't even going to let Sigourney be a blonde, and I said, "You got to let me make her." I asked them. I said, "Can we make Sigourney a blonde?" They said, "Oh, well, she'd look terrible as a blonde." And I said, "I beg your pardon." I said, "Can we just try?" And so, I just slightly altered her skin tone and made her up as Sweet Candy. The hairstylist found a wig for her. We threw this wig on her. And I, changed her skin tone just a little bit and turned her into this gorgeous blonde. And I think it's probably the best she ever looked on the movie, quite frankly.
She loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, she was great as a blonde.
So how did you approach Alan Rickman's headpiece?
Alex Rickman's headpiece was made by Stan Winston Studio as well.
Okay.
And I was basically in charge of all the makeup effects on the film, so I also did Sarah's.
Yep.
And so that was Stan's design, and then I just, applied it obviously and brought it to life and blended, and I kind of zhuzhed it up a little bit because I put some sparkly stuff in it, so it was more, kind of period funky looking. And so that was kind of what we did,
With something like Sarah's, how long does that take to assemble?
I think Sarah's was about a 2.5 hour, maybe a 3 hour makeup job, because he also had a device built into the muzzle that allowed him to move his lips, which was a really cool design that Stan Winston also came up with.
Okay. So one of the really cool things I get to do is